Well, where do we go? We have a forking of the roads, so I think we're just going to wander about aimlessly until we find, well, I don't know, things nice to look at. So it's been a busy few days actually, and been out and about a lot, travelling around, been up to Scotland, been down to Bristol, and it's kind of nice to be out and about, getting out of the house, and you can see developing my hatred of driving again. I haven't done a huge amount of driving in a while, and I'm now doing an awful lot, and yesterday actually wasn't too bad. You'd have thought with hot summer sun like this that it would have been really busy, but I gather Friday was massively busy. Yesterday was almost nothing. I drove to Bristol and it was so quiet. I think everybody had gone on the Friday and probably will be on their way back now, so bedlam on the roads. I'm just glad I'm out here in some quite stunning scenery. This isn't a massive distance from where we live. I'm told it's called The Bonk. Yes, you heard that correctly, The Bonk, in Westhoughton, which is on Zoe's patch, where she's a local councillor. And it's quite nice. It reminds me a little bit of when we went and did that heritage trail walk in down by the River Tongue. We really must get around to finishing that. We started out, we did one video, and we've never been back. But this does remind me a lot of that area. So we can see Zoe's getting all artsy-fartsy with a camera and some, I think they're forget-me-nots. I forget. Little joke. I find that ironic that you can't remember what they're called. Yes, I think they're called forget-me-nots, but I do forget these things. And from what I remember, they come in various different colours, mostly blue, but I think they do violet and white as well. But there's a few little violet ones just mixed in there. I don't know whether it's just certain characteristics in the soil make it grow through a different colour, or whether they're actually separate plants. I don't really know. Horticulture was never really my big thing, but I'll tell you something that was my big thing. Building dens! Oh yeah, look at that. I could do with some ferns or something. My training, such as it was, would have been to get that baby covered up with something like ferns, trample down the grass inside, and make it look like from a distance that there's nothing there, it's just sort of greenery. And then you could sit in there and watch the animals come. There might be deer in this area, they might come down and drink, and if they don't know you're there, then they can sometimes get quite close, although they're very good with a sense of smell, so they might actually just sniff you out. So you've got to be very careful which way the wind's coming from. I'm looking forward actually later on this year. We're going up to the Lake District and we're going to be spending a lot of time on the boat, so hopefully this time, because it's been such a long time since we actually went out on the boat, that we didn't have this camera. And this camera itself, I know a lot of people, a couple of people have whined about this being kind of like a fisheye lens, but it's really helpful in that it's waterproof, shockproof, and you don't have to focus. So we might actually go out and get some quality sailing done. I must look into providing a mount for this on the boat so it would be permanently attached, so if we end up going in the drink, the camera doesn't disappear to the bottom, never to be seen again. But we're going to carry on exploring now. But this is a stunning location, and it's kind of hard to believe how close we are to civilization, and that's something that you get an awful lot in this country, is that there's these pockets of greenery almost untouched. We could be out in the wilderness, and certainly if you were in somewhere like North America, to find somewhere like this, you'd probably be well away from civilization. But here, the houses are just over that rise there, and there's a motorway over there, I think, somewhere, and then we've got the rest of Westhoughton going that way. But meanwhile, the Bonk, it seems to be quite a steep-sided valley down here, and there's probably a river. Yeah, there's going to be a river or something at the bottom. So we're going to press on, and we're going to see what we can find. We're going to explore the hell out of this area, so stick with us. It's a really rickety bridge. Oh, rickety the better. Well, we could plunge to our doom in a ravine. Or at least the childhood version of myself would have thought that, and would have played a game along those lines. We'd have probably...
It's not a rickety bridge, what are you on about?
We'd have, as a child, we'd have probably all as a group dared each other to go across there. And there'd been some kind of initiation ceremony if you wanted to be in our gang. And there'd always be somebody with a BMX who would be practically welded to the saddle, and he'd have just ridden his bike across there.
A bicycle centaur.
Is that the officially approved term?
No, it's what H.P. Lovecraft used to say about himself when he was a kid.
A bicycle centaur, so he just lived welded to his bicycle.
Pretty much.
I must admit, I was when I grew up, I had some, not always, but an awful lot of hideous cast hand-me-down bikes. I believe one of them was called a Stowaway, and it was from the 1960s or 70s.
Oh my goodness.
And it's one of those bikes that folds in half, and it was a bit past it when I inherited it. There was also one called a Polo. I think it was my sister's, and then it became mine, and it was... yeah. And I think it had like a basket on the front and a saddlebag on the back. And it was very much a sort of a girls type bike. And then for a long time I had one called a Grifter, which was very, very heavy. It was like an early hybrid off-road mountain bike, but not a mountain bike. It only had 3 gears. And I ran that into the ground. And then I just swiped and borrowed my older sister's mountain bike when she went off to university and rode that a lot. I don't know about you, but I'm getting the distinct impression that A, it's been here a while, and B, it's been eroded somewhat since it was built. There's clearly been more wood across. There no longer is more wood across. And that concrete does look remarkably like it's been undercut dramatically. So the chances are this little trickle floods when we have very, very heavy rain. It probably thunders down here. You can see that it's scoured quite badly.
Well, I managed to get over without a problem, so are you coming?
Yeah, okay. Should I plunge to my doom, then be sure to point out that it probably looked funny in the process. Well, survived the crossing. My extraordinary adult weight, which is probably 3 times what I used to weigh as a child, has not managed to destroy what's left of this bridge, so we've made it across safely. And we're going to go that away.
That away.
Just filming some B-roll footage.
That's
You're
me.
filming me.
Yeah.
Filming some B-roll.
I'm filming you, filming me.
Filming you, filming me, filming you, filming me.
It goes on forever.
Yes, it's a recursive decay. So I made it down the hill, and you see down there's some kind of river, stream, I'm not sure, but there is actually a proper path. So we're going to go up that way somewhere and try and find a way across and down, and we're going to explore down there. But it's this lovely place. I'd have killed for this as a kid. Oh, wait a minute, as a kid, I did have something like this. Opposite where my parents live. In fact, actually, one day I'm going to make a point. I'm going to go there. We're going to film a vlog video where we go and explore all my old childhood haunts and see whether a new generation of kids have turned all our dens into their dens. There used to be big holly bushes, and they were hollow inside. There was actually a stream ran through. There was even a waterfall at one point, all contained within these like hollow holly bushes, and we just make dens in there. And we drag in all sorts of rubbish out of skips and stuff. When I was growing up, where my parents lived was still a building site further down. They were still building more houses. So it was great as you were kids. You could get all sorts of bits and pieces that you could take over there and make up these dens. And we gave them all sorts of weird names like the monkey's nest and stuff. But it'd be interesting to see whether A, they're still there, and B, whether any of the crap that we put in them is still there, failing to biodegrade. But we're going to move on, and we're going to see where we can get to. So bear with me. I'm going to explore. Lots of exploring. I like exploring. bold new worlds. I believe that we have found the beaten track, and we are now on the beaten track, having previously strayed from the beaten track and gone through that dark and dreary jungle. And there's Zoe being really stupid. No, I jest. It's just having fun. It's just so nice to be out here in the community. Out and visible, doing stuff, watching, waiting, judging,
Go on.
wallying.
Oh, I can do that.
You be careful.
You know, as a kid, we'd have dared each other to jump that.
Yeah, and you'd have succeeded as well. I love stuff like this. Just out in the middle of nowhere, you have these lovely, actually quite well-built bridges, footbridges. It's just a couple of steel beams with some traffic paint. Oh, a water vole! Look, the water vole. I thought that was a rat. Oh, that could be a rat, you know. Answers on a postcard. Did we see a water vole? In which case, yay! Or did we just see a rat? In which case, boo! Well, this bridge looks an awful lot safer than the last one. So I'm going to walk forth and enjoy the comfort of not risking life and limb to cross this stream, because I don't really want to get wet. I've got my nice trainers on. I don't really want to make them all manky. Ooh. Visions of the artist at work, looking for that perfect shot and running the risk of falling in. We look down there, doesn't that look nice? And we're probably about maybe 100 yards from civilization here, but we could be just miles and miles away. And we've got this really quite relaxing sound of running water. I always like this on a nice warm, hot, sunny day. We've got the trees all coming out and blooming, and that tinkle of water is just so relaxed. We could be anywhere. We could be in the Peak District, we could be in the Lake District, we could be in the Grampian Highlands, could be anywhere. But actually, we're Westhoughton, enjoying what this place has to offer. We're going to head off down here and explore this track and see where it goes. I expect when that floods, it covers all of this with water as well. There's one down near where my parents live. It's actually a substantially bigger brook, but when it floods, it really does flood. I've seen it scour all sorts of stuff away. I did have some lovely photographs of when it flooded, but unfortunately, in a hard drive failure, I lost pictures of both the floods in Bolton and floods in Durham, which I was really disappointed at, because I had photographs of cars floating in the underground car park at Elvet Riverside, and they were nearly up to the ceiling. That's how deep it got. It was just unreal. And the Prince Bishop was floating in the car park of the Swan and 3. There was people in there desperately trying to push it off as the water went down, because if it had got marooned, that would have needed a heck of a crane to lift that off. Just enjoying being out today. It's just so much different wildlife. Oh, we've got the ferns there. On that den we saw earlier on, I'd have had all these ferns away and covered all that over. We had a good little bird hide. Although we wouldn't have used it for that, we'd have just called it our den and just hung out there. Because when you're a kid, any little bit of roof over the top of you, instantly it's a den. And it's grand. And you're the king or queen of your little den. And you all make a pact that it's like, oh, in 20 years' time we'll all come back and we'll remember the good times. And you never do. And if you did, if you went back, the others wouldn't be there. It's actually made this quite a nice amenity here. You can see how it's all been structured. They've got some little bit of things on the bank just to stop erosion in certain ways. And then we've got this really good path. And it's had a lot of thought for accessibility. Because, you know, whilst it is a bit of a muddy path in places, and when the weather's dry like this, there's no steps or anything. So very easy access. You could come down here with a wheelchair or a pram and just enjoy this amenity. And I like that. So even the bridges, they're wide enough for getting something like that over. It's just, whoa. Wouldn't want to go swimming in there though. See,
Not meant for swimming.
no. You can see all the water boatmen and things. Lots of things, lots of nature. There's a lot of nature happening down there. In fact, actually, it's interesting. When you look at the bank, there's an awful lot of bricks. And I don't know why. It must have been, at some point, there's probably been an awful lot of industrial waste here. And it's kind of like what we thought in the Tongue Valley Trail, the Heritage Trail, was that whilst everything looked really picturesque like this, there was so much evidence that it probably hadn't always been that way. And it's nice to see how well that nature can kind of heal itself. So we're nearly at the end. We've walked along the river. There's loads of little bridges going backwards and forwards. And it's so tranquil, but we're going to head back towards the car, and what we might do is go and get ourselves some lunch. That'd be quite a nice way to round off the day. It's actually later than you think. I'm just going to... Well, actually, no, it's not as late as you think. It's about 1:30. So I was surprised, actually. I thought it'd be later. But we're going to go and find something else. It is Sunday, so there's not going to be much in the way of shops open or anything like that. But that's kind of nice, because that keeps the crowds down. And I appear to have acquired a 1920s press flatfoot gumshoe, whatever they call them. And we're going to follow the road ahead. We're going to climb on up into the daylight through the trees. And that gives me an opportunity to say it's probably about it for the vlog here now. And I hope you've enjoyed this little impromptu trip out. Just having a look at some of the wonders that Westhoughton has to offer. But until next time, don't forget to like this video, share it too, and subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell. You'll be the first to know about new videos as and when they go on up. Until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying you take very good care of yourself, and bye for now. Today's video has been brought to you in part thanks to the generous donation of my fans on Patreon. And a special huge thanks goes out to Anthony Kidson, Mark Anthony and Michael Churchwood. If you'd like to help support the show, head on over to patreon.com/JenniferKirk. Thank you. Today's video has been brought to you by my books, Bringing Home the Stars, Twinkle Little Star, and also you can get the complete comic collections of All Over the House, Books 1, Books 2, and also the wacky zany Life of Knob T Mouse. Thanks, and catch you later.